Well, we're getting to the exciting part now. You should now pop the engine on. I'm just apologies, still getting over a bad spate, to be honest. You should by now have the engine in place. Hold the cogs of the motor to get the propeller on, which goes on clockwise. Now you can put the stickers on to put on the propeller. I've elected not to. I just don't trust the stickers, to be honest, so I've just drawn it on. It's not hard, nothing difficult about it. And then what you have to do is charge up your battery and connect your, well, what you do, you connect your servos first. Okay, so what you'll have is a drawing here. So don't use the rudder connector, use the aileron connector and the elevator connector. So the rudder is now the aileron, which now goes on the port side. As you're sitting in the cockpit, that's the port side, and as you're sitting in the cockpit, that's the starboard side. So the elevator plugs into the starboard plug, and the ailerons for the rudder into the port side, and there is your connection for your motor. Now it doesn't really matter if you put it in the wrong way round, the motor will just go the opposite way round. If it's not pushing, it's the wrong way round, so just swap it back and pop it in, and then whatever. So there's your battery goes in there, and your antenna goes to the back. So I hope that explains that. So what you'll end up with is, once you've bound your radio, you will have movement on those servos. So the rudder, which is now the aileron, will be that one there. So if you're sitting in the cockpit, it's on your right hand side, and the elevator will be on the left hand side, which is the starboard side. Okay, and that will all work off the one stick. And then of course you have, making sure you don't get your fingers in the way, your throttle. Make sure that works and that it's pushing. So in other words, the wind's going towards the tail. Okay, and that's going the right direction. And then you just have to hook up the controls. So what I'm going to do is take out the battery and possibly change the camera angle, and I'll turn off my radio and we'll get the controls connected to the rudder and the elevator. Putting in and making the RX or receiver work. This is the RX, if you like, the receiver, or even the PCB board. We are plugged into the throttle, which I'm about to test now. There you go, and it's blowing that way, which is correct. And I am in this instance using a 180 milliamp 25C 3.71S battery LiPo, which I intend to slot in like that. Okay, so there you go. Now I have had to make some modifications. Now before I go into the modifications, just want to show you that everything is working as it should be. So we have right rudder and left rudder and up elevator and down elevator. Now I had very little movement on these, and what I was doing was going via the instructions or the instructions, going through the pulley. Let me just bring that up a little bit. Going through the pulley here and keeping away from all of the struts and so forth, and tying off at the end, top and bottom of the elevator, and keeping them on the same side. And the same thing with the rudder. Okay, now it's trial and error getting that right. I'll be honest with you, it is trial and error. But I was getting so little movement. So let me just come round here. So what did I do? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I phoned this chap, Cliff Harvey. Cliff and I are friendly. I've got his personal number. And I said, Cliff, you got one of these? He said, yeah. I said, did you have this issue? And he said, yes. How did you overcome it? And he told me, so I'm going to show you what I did to overcome this problem. And it goes like this. Now, what I did was I went out. This isn't what Cliff did exactly, but this is broadly speaking what he told me how to go about it. I went out and bought a box of matches. Shortened the matches off, and I made these extend. Okay, now this is 30mm long, so you're extending that arm by about 10mm. This gives you a full fulcrum flow, and I did it on both sides so I could get some decent movement. Because Cliff said to me, he said, you don't need that much movement, he said, but this is going to help you. So exactly what I did. So all kudos to Cliff there, and that got me going. So there you go, just demonstrating that works. The other problem I had was with the PCB board. Quite a lot of problems with this, and I don't want to go into it because it might, you know, somebody might say something, and I don't want to go legal. But basically, this aileron port does not work. This is the aileron port. This is the get it right. Yeah, this is the rudder port. So this stopped working. I replaced this. Went back to source. This was still not working. So I swapped these servos around, and both servos were working, so it's the board. Now this one here, this one I plugged in there, that is dedicated to the rudder. So this is what you do. You take it out of the aileron port, put it into the rudder port. This is if you have the same problem. Then you go to your, well, in this case it's a Spectrum NX8. Okay, you go into your function list, you go down to system setup. Are you sure? Yes. And then you go down to a channel assign, and you'll notice that it says throttle, elevator, rudder, gear, auxiliary. Go into next. Then you go down, and where it says rudder, you put elevator. Okay, so if I click on that, you can see it goes rudder, elevator, aileron, etc, etc. So it's rudder, elevator. Then go up to back to list, main menu, main screen, and then you'll find that you can use your aileron for your rudder. There you go. And then elevator will be as normal. And if you reverse them, that's quite easy to do. Just go into servo setups and you just reverse. It's dead easy. Okay, so now we've got that sorted out. So what's next? Well, what's next is you are encouraged to paint your nose, which I did early on. So I'm going to give you another tip now before we get into something that really is quite interesting. Let me just adjust the camera up a little bit. There you go. Okay, so I don't get in my own way. Now, what I want you to do, if you need to use tweezers in relation to that board, use nylon ones. Do not, under any circumstances, use metal ones, and especially making sure that your battery is always disconnected. Okay, so now all you got to do is pop your RX board into the back of the fuzz. and I'm just going to do that off camera because it might take me a minute or two. Okay, so now we get into the interesting parts. There's your battery. Your battery slides through that front there. Okay, now you've got to balance the model. So I've got my little balancer here, which I made for another Microaces model, and it seems to fit this one, so I'm reusing it. Now you'll see that I've moved the battery slightly forward because that's now balancing at the correct place. Now this is the crease here along the top wing, okay, and that's balancing in the right place. So I know if I mark that battery now, probably better to mark it on the inside. By marking that, okay, I know that when I'm on the field or wherever I'm flying, that if I put the battery in the same position, the balance point should be correct. Now you are given some weights. They're actually designed for leaded windows. You stick them on the back on this bridge here at the back of the tail, but there's no need to, because we've got the correct balance point. There's no need to add weight, and you just pop the nose on like that. Now what I'm going to do, you'll notice I've not got the guns on because at this point I just want it to fly. Okay, I just want it to fly. So that's now ready for flight. The rudder, elevator, etc. is working. The prop's working. There you go. And we now have it balanced. Now, if you want to know the dimensions of how to make this, let me just stop the tape just for a second. And this literally is a couple of seconds later. So this is what it looks like. So you've got two dowels, a piece of wood. Now the wood, for those who are really interested, this is all in metric now. That's 39.5 centimetres or 15.5 inches. And the height of these are 81 centimetres, or if you like 7 inches each. And then you pop a cocktail stick at there. The height of that is 13 centimetres or 5 1/8. Okay, and you do the same there, and that's, you know, you drill your hole in. I think these are 5mm, these dowels, and pop your cocktail sticks through. I don't think I glued these. I think they're loose. No, I don't want to bother with that. And that's your balancer. That's how you get your balance. So there's your topical tips. So the next step now is to make it fly. Once it flies, I'll stick the guns at the gun on and any extras. Just want to get it to fly. So if you got this far, well done. And as usual, this is totally free of charge. I'm not being sponsored by anybody or anything like that, but this is how I overcome some of the problems I had, and I hope that the whole series has been useful to you. And as always, please give it a thumbs up. You're not paying any money for it. It's free of charge. There's no buy me a coffee or anything like that. Just give us a thumbs up and a like, and subscribe if you feel like it, or share it and show it to somebody else. Thank you for your time. Hopefully the next video, which will be the last one, will be me flying that indoors. Thank you for your time. Cheerio. Bye bye.
Subscribe! That's all, folks.